5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, good work. So let's get some feedback. How was it? Easy, hard? Yeah? So how did mix?
Harder the longer you did it.
It got harder the longer you did it. Interesting. What made it tricky?
I felt like you had to think
A lot more than you usually have to when you're counting to 3.
Interesting. Okay. How did you guys find it? Yeah? Easy? Open it first, okay? Then it got a little bit better. Okay. And how did you guys find it? Good? Smooth? All right, cool. So that exercise is an introduction to what we call presence. Because initially, as you're doing your 1, 2, 3, you're thinking, okay, this is okay. But after a while, you may get a little bit distracted as the music is playing, everyone else is saying 1, 2, 3, and you start to second guess yourself. And that often happens in public speaking, where we get easily distracted by other things, external things, trying to guess what people are thinking of us, someone walking in, the technology not working, and we get distracted from the number one thing we should focus on, which is the message. So finding presence, focusing on your message, makes it a lot easier to block out external distractions. So sometimes in this exercise, people say, yes, once I started to concentrate, it became a little bit better. Once I made eye contact and I focused on what the other person was saying, it made it a little bit better. So we're going to do the same thing now, but instead of saying 2, you're going to clap. So it's going to be a little bit harder, but try and find presence, try and focus, and avoid getting distracted. See how you find it. Over to you.
3.
Ooh. Five, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay. Was that easier or harder? A bit harder? Good. So a fun introduction to what we call presence, focusing, okay? Something else that we often struggle with is the eye contact. And usually the tricky thing with eye contact is we go into speeches with the spotlight on us. We ask ourselves the question, are these people going to like me? What we should try to do instead is we should go into speeches asking ourselves, do these people understand my message? The reason why that change of question changes everything is because if you go into a speech asking yourself, are they going to like me? And you pick up on someone's non-verbal cues. Maybe they look a bit uninterested, maybe they're not even looking at you, maybe they're on their phone. The answer to that question is they don't like you. That's going to make you want to rush, get off stage, you're going to feel awkward. What we should try to do instead is go into speeches asking ourselves, do they understand my message? So, if someone's non-verbal cues suggest that they're a bit uninterested, they're a bit puzzled, they're going on their phone, it's not personal, it's not that they don't like you, it's that the way you're delivering the message in this present moment isn't good. So you can make those adjustments there and then. Maybe you're speaking too fast, you need to slow down. Maybe the volume is too low, you need to increase the volume. So changing the question you ask yourself before a speech can actually change the relationship you have with your audience. So if you're someone who generally starts to wonder, are these people liking me? Are they understanding what I'm saying? And you focus too much on the audience, changing the question can really, really be helpful, okay? So our methodology at Believe in Greatness is one that has a very holistic approach to speaking. Usually public speaking is seen as a performance. People only focus on the technical aspects of it. And certain speaking classes may just feel like acting classes. Whereas we, of course, teach the public speaking techniques that are important, body language, delivery, but we have a real emphasis on vulnerability. Now, vulnerability is an interesting word. It usually has quite negative connotations. For us, vulnerability means allowing yourself to be yourself when speaking in front of people. And that actually takes real strength to do that. The easier thing to do is to put on a mask, to pretend, to act. So we get loads of people that come to us who maybe work at schools or in professional environments and say, look, in this setting, I'm okay when I'm speaking to the students or when I'm speaking to my friends and family. But in other settings, when I'm speaking to the boss, when I'm in meetings, I struggle. Why is that? And that's because of that fear of judgment that we spoke about before. And that's because people are being told to fake it till they make it. The problem with that advice is that, especially in public speaking, if you fake it, you're pretending the problem isn't there and you're never addressing it. So we believe in embrace it until it improves. So what that means is that if you're feeling nervous and anxious, you can pretend you're not nervous, put on a mask, do your thing, or you can embrace it and think, I feel really anxious right now. What can I do now and next time to reduce this anxiety? You're actually working on it rather than pretending it wasn't there. So we often tell people to treat nerves and anxiety like cold weather. When it's freezing outside, before we leave our house, we prepare. We wear our heaviest jackets, our hats and our scarves. And when we leave, we're still a bit cold because it's freezing, but because we prepared, it's not too bad. Same thing with nerves. Before a presentation, a meeting, a speech, you know you're gonna get nervous and anxious. So rather than wishing it doesn't come, let's prepare for it beforehand. You'll still be nervous, but will be a lot more manageable. Same with the weather analogy. You'll still be a little bit cold, but you would have managed it. Okay, so embracing vulnerability allows you to do that, allows you to embrace the nerves and truly work on them rather than pretend they weren't there. And we will do a vulnerability-based exercise today. For us, vulnerability is allowing yourself to be seen. And once you do that, you have nothing to hide. And if you have nothing to hide, you're a lot less anxious. Okay, so it's really, really important. Now, the techniques that we teach are all based on this study that there are 3 brains. Now, often we have no problem being here. In fact, we hear a bit too much, okay? Overthink. The second brain is your heart, your ability to speak with emotion, with passion, with personality. Maybe you've all heard a speech that was really boring, okay? The person speaking wasn't speaking from the heart. They were just most likely reading a script. Whereas maybe you've all heard a speech that moved you. That person speaking was speaking from the heart. And actually, depending on different settings, you get different types of speakers. So there are people that maybe, when they speak to their friends and family, can speak from the heart, but in a professional environment, they're very robotic when they speak. And the third brain, which we usually ignore, is your gut, where your intuition lies. This is where your true confidence is. This is where we are as children. This is why we hardly see any shy 3-year-olds. They don't care. Running around, doing whatever, trusting their intuition. But the older we get, the more we grow, the more life experiences we go through, we start to reside here a bit too much. And we start to overthink every little situation. And the problem with residing in your mind too much is that your amygdala, the part of your brain responsive to fear, will start flaring up even when you're not in danger. So for example, public speaking. Your brain will perceive public speaking to be dangerous, even when it isn't, because we hear a bit too much. The idea here is that we use all 3 holistically. I'm not telling you not to think, but we need to reduce overthinking, because overthinking is one of the biggest killers of communication. So we'll do some exercises now to help you reignite your trust in your intuition, because a lot of us have forgotten what it feels like, okay? So super simple exercise. Again, do this in pairs initially. You're going to play a game called word association, super simple. Person 1 will say a word, for example, table, and then person 2 will say the first word that they can think of that associates with the table. So they'll say legs, and then person 1 will say, what associates with legs? Run. Or so say running marathons, London, London, inflation.
Angry.
Okay. Ooh.
Oh, yes.
Y'all want to continue, but we can do it for 40 seconds. A lot of eyes. A lot of eyes wandering around the church, looking for words. Okay? Try and trust your intuition. Even if it doesn't make too much sense, but it's the first word you thought of. Even if it's a bit inappropriate. Okay? Trust your intuition. Let's try that again. Let's go.
Good. Good. We've got 15 seconds left.
What?
Okay. Amazing. So I would like some feedback on, I'd like some feedback on to which ease were the words flowing? Were they coming fast? Were you overthinking it? If you were overthinking it, what was your body doing in that moment? So if we start with yourself, how did you find that?
It like down.
Okay. Got into a flow and then you lost it. Did you notice how your body reacted in that losing it moment? Looking around. No. Okay, thank you so much for that feedback. Yourself? How did you find it? Yes. I love okay. Exactly. It's like we look for the answers, isn't it? Yeah. All right, cool. Thank you very much. How did you find it? Ah. Please breathe. Okay. Got ya. And that was like your thing. Okay, good. So different people are doing different things. Now, this exercise shows us a number of different things. Number one, that we overthink. Because I said, say the first word that comes to mind, but we want it to be the perfect match. We want it to be a great word, a funny word, an intelligent word. We put so much pressure on ourselves to just say an amazing word rather than just the first word. Second thing that this exercise does is it shows us that we tend to rush. I didn't say anything to do with speed. I said trust your intuition, but you might have felt the need to rush. I need the word. Panicking when the words aren't coming. Similar things happen in meetings, interviews. When we're asked questions, we feel the need to rush, but we can and we should take our time, okay? And lastly, this shows you what you do when you're in your mind. So like you were saying, you're filling your thumbs, you're saying using filler words, you were saying you're looking up. The reason it's important for you guys to understand is because studies show if you are in your mind for a prolonged period of time, you hit what we call an overthinking state, where your mind can go blank. And I'm sure we've all experienced being somewhere, someone's asked us a question, and you know the answers to that question, but there and then you're under pressure, and it's gone. Like, I know it, but I don't know it. That's what happens when you're in your mind for a prolonged period of time, overthinking state. So some people come to us and say, look, I'm a project manager, or I run this company, I know exactly what this product is, but when it was time to speak to the stakeholders, struggle. They didn't know their cues. So the important thing is, as humans, you will say, you will use filler words. If you're quite fiddly, you might fiddle with your fingers and stuff. But it's important to not overindulge in it, because if you do it for too long, you're likely to hit that overthinking state and your mind can go blank. Sometimes people then ask me, so why does my mind go blank at the very beginning of a speech? That's because you're overthinking before the speech. Okay, so it's really important that we identify what we do and we reduce it. So my thing is eyes. I'm better at eye contact now, but you beforehand, I really struggle, even just one-on-one conversation, looking up, and I would lose my trail of thought. And I'd be asking people, what were we just talking about? Even though I was just talking about it. And I later put two and two together, and I will do it a lot less, and I hardly ever lose my trail of thought, okay? So during the next exercise, we are going to try and manage these habits. We can't eradicate them in an hour, but we can start working on them. So whatever you were just doing now, be mindful of doing it less in the next exercise. So rather than one word, same concept, but you're going to say one sentence. Okay? That makes sense? And whatever you were just doing, be mindful of it. So if you were saying a lot of ums, be mindful. If you're looking up and stuff, be mindful. You probably will still do it, but just be conscious of it and try to reduce it, okay? So please get into groups of like 5s and 6s and see how you get on. Mm.
And as you describe it, it's clear for thinking and where can you point to speak?
There was actually.
So did anyone find this one a little bit hard? Yes? Okay, cool. If you would like to explain to us, why do you think it was harder for yourself? Okay. No words coming together. Fair enough, fair enough. You find it a little bit harder?
But I knew it's
Okay.
it going to like I'm a mum.
I got it.
So if there's something
Got it. Got ya. So a lot of second guessing. Yeah, interesting. Someone here found it a little bit harder. So you found it a little bit harder? Yes? Why do you think it was harder for you? Yes, you wanted it to make sense, okay. Interesting, and who found it a little bit easier? Okay, a lot of people, so I'm gonna get 3 of them, so.
Because I felt I had more time to think.
Okay.
Because I was late into
Mm-hmm.
thought which way it could go once it got to me.
Got it. A lot more time to think. Someone else here find it a little bit easier? Yes?
I think that I can't really do it now that I'm quite a lot of it. Like think about what we do.
Got ya. Interesting. And you said you found it a bit easier? Yes?
I think because it was more akin to how you actually communicate.
Hmm.
And if you're just doing word association, that's not how people speak.
Big, yeah, it's just like one word, whereas here you actually, okay, interesting. Whereas usually if you found this one a little bit easier, you're trusting your gut, saying the first thing that comes to mind, even if it doesn't make much sense, you're going along with it. Usually the stories that get very, very silly, people end up trusting their intuition usually, because like, okay, we're all just being silly, it doesn't make sense, okay? Now, there is no right or wrong, but if you found this exercise easier, then you would have experienced what it's like to communicate with a bunch of people and your fear of judgment goes from this to this. The truth is that you found it easier because you didn't think the people in your group would judge you if you said anything stupid, anything silly, anything that didn't make sense. And those are similar feelings that we have in those safe environments that I spoke about at the beginning, around your family, your friends, your children, your partner. You can speak freely with a reduced fear of judgment. So you guys experience that once you reduce your fear of judgment, you automatically increase your ability to speak, communicate, and express yourself. Because we struggle to speak in the rooms where we feel the most judged. The fear of judgment, though, isn't binary. So it's not, do I fear judgment, do I not? It's more so a continuum. So on a scale of 1 to 10, how much does this scenario make me feel judged? And I guess our job as coaches is to try and make that number as close to 1 as possible in as many scenarios as possible. Really, really important. With the fear of judgment, you can never truly eradicate it. It will always somewhat be there. And as humans, we suffer from something called a spotlight effect, which is a psychological effect that where we feel that everyone is watching every move we make with a magnifying glass. So little activity is like running for the bus. Super simple, right? Bus is in 2 minutes. I could run and catch it, but a voice in your head to tell you, run? The hell? Like, everyone's going to see you run. Like, what if you miss it? And everyone's going to see that you've missed it, and then you're just going to look silly, and then don't run. And then we'll, right, okay, I'll listen to that voice, and then we'll walk and be late, right? And that's the spotlight effect. The truth is 9 times out of 10, people don't actually care. But we're judging ourselves and we feel like everyone else is doing the same thing. So it's important, again, to identify that and to diffuse those thoughts, like I said at the beginning. Thought diffusion is key when it comes to confident communication, because the voice will always be there to try and probe you, to try and protect you. And it's our job to actually determine, is this actually protecting me from danger? Or is it just trying to keep me in my comfort zone? Okay, really important. Okay, next exercise we'll do a vulnerability-based exercise. This one's good. Someone's gonna come to the front. Yeah, scary, scary. Someone's gonna come to the front and they're gonna tell us how they feel right here, right now. Okay, the exercise is called No Filter because you have to narrate those thoughts and feelings with no filter. So you have to come up and tell us how you're feeling. Now, we purposely did the intuition exercises before because I promise you intuition is gonna wanna say something and your mind is gonna say, don't say it. And there's going to be a battle going on. And ideally, we want your intuition to win. Rule: you are not allowed to speak in a past tense about what happened, how you felt. No. Please do not speak in the future tense about what's going to happen, what you want to do. Keep it present. Right now, how do you feel? Another big problem with public speaking is that we get very anxious when we're not present. When we think about all the times that it didn't go well or how badly it's gonna go, but we don't try and focus on the here and now. Try that. And the last rule is it has to be authentic. Okay, so if you're feeling anxious, I do not want you to say, I feel so good, I'm glad, I'm happy. People sometimes do that and I'm like, look, that's not authentic, you're gonna have to do it again, okay? So, authenticity, presence, how you feel right here, right now. Brian is probably telling you guys, like, don't put your hand up, don't put your hand up. But does anyone want to give it a go and break the ice? Brian is telling you not to. I see your hand, let's give it a huge round of applause. Amazing. Okay, so I'm gonna time you, it has to be at least 40 seconds. Okay, at least 40 seconds, and your time starts now.
Feeling like it's quite a lot of eyes on me.
Yeah.
I'm wondering whether thinking like I'm always going to have a turn. Somebody else have a turn. Right now I'm thinking, okay, get embarrassed. I get red when I get embarrassed, which is something that's improved over time, but I still is a bit. Even right now, that look probably a little bit bored. It's not so exciting. Like maybe I should have had a go, but it's probably okay because other people are nice over here, so take me stick. Now I'm thinking that I'm looking up into the sky, so I'm probably thinking around which is okay. I think I'm thinking how much longer is this going to be?
Time! Very, 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 very good. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah, it was all right. I don't know, I do kind of enjoy it, but at the same time, especially as it was going on for longer and longer.
Yes, and you had less things to say. You're like, oh my gosh, what am I going to say? Okay.
But I do also know everybody is nice.
Good, amazing. So, what I would like to do, with your approval, give you a little bit of feedback, and then I would like you to try that again with the feedback. Is that okay? Cool. So, if I said you're going to speak twice, no one would have put a hand up. I'd like you to try to have a bit more variation in the volume of your voice. So obviously you're quite suspect, which is fine. However, we should try and have some variety because when our tone or our cadence gets predictable, the audience can disengage. Okay, so I want you to try and have a bit more variety. Try and increase the volume a little bit and try and reduce it a little bit. My general rule of thumb is your projection should match the emotion. So like, if I'm talking about something a bit sad, and like I lower my tone, it sounds a bit sad, even though like it's not sad. And then if it's quite exciting, I'll generally increase the volume because I want my. So that's the first thing I would like you to do. And the second thing I would like you to do is to have punchier sentences. So you did like 45 seconds, but it was like one big paragraph. It was like this and this. So I want you to try and have a sentence, pause, do the next sentence, pause, do the next sentence, pause. Okay, so those are the two pieces of feedback I want you to try and do, and then let's see how that goes, okay? That's it, how you feeling? So, you've been up for ages now. The way you feel now may have changed. How do you feel right here, right now?
I'm feeling quite excited about trying some of this feedback.
Good.
Because hopefully it will help me.
Good.
However, it can be quite hard to put it into practice straight away.
Good.
Because you really don't. However, I'm feeling okay right now. I think it's going better than it did before. I think putting things in paragraphs is going to be a little bit harder for me. We can think how much longer is this going to be. Hopefully the time's up very shortly. I don't know how much more time I've got, and I've got to entertain you with my lovely speech.
Good. And honestly, because so anxiety wants us to not have attention. So it wants you to like speak in a really low tone so that people don't look at you. But once we increase the volume, we actually feel a lot more confident. Same thing with anxiety doesn't want you to make eye contact because everyone's a demon. But once you look at people, you humanize them. You're like, oh, they're just human beings. Like, so we usually have to do the opposite of what makes us nervous, and that increases our confidence. So really good. Let's give a round of applause. Amazing. All right, how are you feeling right here, right now?
I feel okay. I often quite think about myself waffling. I think I'm a big waffler. But I really like chatting to people as well. So it doesn't often stop me from waffling. And right now I know I'm waffling. But I feel okay about it, you know. I feel very, very happy to be here. I know that no one here is out to get me. And it's all just a bit of fun. But again, I still think about the fact that I'm waffling. And I'm saying loads of words, but not actually saying much at all. Which is often something that I think about when I'm communicating with anyone around me. Could I have said all of that in fewer words? Maybe not. But also I know that sometimes adding loads of words makes things a little bit, I don't know, gentler and a bit less blunt and punchy. But yeah, continuing on the waffle. For as long as it's no maple syrup, just waffle.
Time! That was good. How did you find it?
Okay.
Okay.
I definitely think about myself waffling quite a lot. But I like talking.
Okay, good. So I'm going to do the next exercise with you now to see how you get on. Which the next exercise is a normal table topic exercise where I'll give you a random topic and you have to speak on this random topic for 45 seconds, all right? And I want to see how you get on. What you should try and do, because obviously you're thinking about, oh my gosh, am I waffling? Change that question to your head to, do these people understand what I'm saying? Try and ask yourself, do they understand what I'm saying? Do they understand what I'm saying? So that will change your perspective of like, oh my gosh, I'm just waffling, this is terrible, to actually making meaningful eye contact to see, okay, are they understanding it? Am I speaking too fast? Do I need to make those adjustments? Okay, so try and do that. I'm gonna give you a random topic. Another challenge for you is to try and avoid saying Okay, so there were quite a few in there, okay? Similarly to what I said to her, try and pause instead. A good way to eradicate the is to pause. We say because we find silence awkward. So rather than just speaking and then going, we're like, just to feel the silence. So try and be more comfortable in silence.
About like filling the 45 seconds.
Exactly, but
I feel like I'm cheating to not say.
yeah, exactly. So don't kind of ignore that and then just do a sentence, pause, okay? So your topic, shall I do, is going to be the feeling of frustration. So you're going to talk on the feeling of frustration. Trust your intuition. 3, 2, 1, go.
The feeling of frustration is a really challenging one to feel because it often interacts with a load of other feelings that aren't very nice to feel, such as anger, uncertainty, and doubt. And quite often it can be something really, really hard to control because often it results in you doing things that you don't want to do that can often affect people around you as well. And it's one that you often look at retrospectively and regret your actions associated with the feelings of frustration. So it's not a nice one to feel. I'd say there are better feelings out there that you can feel, like not feeling frustrated. But when you do find yourself feeling frustrated, often it's important to look at what that is actually manifesting in, because maybe the thing you're feeling frustrated about isn't as deep as your response to that feeling.
Time! Big round of applause. Amazing. How did you find it second one compared to the first one?
I think a little bit better because like it wasn't so like open.
Okay.
So it was something to focus on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. That's good. Let's give him a round of applause. I thought I was use yes for the word and I thought it was much better. So well done. That's good. Okay, cool. So that's one of the speaking exercises. We're going to do the second one now, which is the one topic one. When improvising, it can be quite tough and challenging to keep talking. A good way to deal with it, even when you're asked questions, when you're stuck, give us a story. Give us an experience. So for example, with yourself, you're talking about frustration, it would be good in that moment to tell us, for example, one thing that really frustrates me is traffic. And then you explain that, right? Stories, number one, they help you connect with people because people can now visualize why you think that way. And number two, they actually help give you direction in what to say next. So especially, I went into a school today, just before this. I was with a bunch of year sevens, doing like some public speaking stuff, asking year 7 kind of questions. And I used loads of stories to help explain the things that I was saying, the reason it was important. And for them, it's like, okay, that makes sense. It helped them crystallize the thinking. So when I give you the topic, I'm going to try and incorporate a personal story within your answer as well, okay? So who wants to give the topic a go? Oh, by the way, The only way to get better at speaking is by speaking, okay? I wish there was another way, guys. I wish I could just give you a drink or a pill that can make you confident. I probably can. However, this is the only actual way to do it, okay? So having said that, you gonna do it? Let's give it a round of applause! So you're gonna get the topic of nature. Nature. So we're gonna speak on nature for 50 seconds. 3, 2, 1, nature.
I absolutely hate being outside. My favorite place to be is inside. I like to say that every day I wake up and I go, I am so glad that I'm inside. But recently, in this past year, I had a very rough struggle with some things going on at my previous job, things that were happening in my dreams, not like my sleeping dreams, but in pursuing the things that I really wanted to do. I was going up this great roller coaster, and then I hit that valley. And I found myself staying inside so much more. And I knew that that wasn't good because it wasn't bringing me the joy that being inside normally brought me. Because I'm a writer, I like to play video games, I like to read, I like to create things, all inside things. I wasn't doing any of those things. I was just sitting and watching TV or scrolling on Instagram Reels. And so I forced myself to go outside, even though I thought, you hate outside. Outside never makes you feel better. But I walked all the way down to South Park in Oxford. And I sat down under a tree, a thing I hate to do, and I read Dune under a tree, a book I don't really like. And there I was like, why am I slowly starting to feel better? Oh, I've been outside for the first time in 6 weeks. And yeah, so I think nature is good in small doses when you've been inside for too long, but inside is usually the best place to be always.
Time! Huge round of applause! Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you very much. How did you find it?
Great.
Good. So that was actually really, really good. So can I ask you why you didn't put your hand up straight away? If you like talking, all right, so.
To be completely honest,
Please.
because I thought others might benefit from the no filter more.
Got it, got it.
Um,
Okay, fair enough. I thought that was really good. I could be nitpicky, but I thought you were an excellent speaker, so keep it up.
Thank you.
Well done. Really good, really, really good. Okay, tough act to follow, but does anyone fancy it? Tell Brian to do one. Brian's telling you, don't put your hand down. And you kind of want to do it? You want to do it? Let's give it a round of applause! I think she went to like scratch her hair or something. And I was like, yes!
Scammed.
Yeah, sorry. I'll give you a nice one. Your topic is going to be beaches. Yeah. 3, 2, 1, beaches.
So beach is a great place that you can go, which is next to the sea. My favourite beach is Sean Beach, which is in the northeast, because it's where I used to go with my granddad. It's very nice, very high up. There was a sea glass factory in Sunderland, and that kind of had lots of stuff happening, loads of glass fell in the water, so you can see it's one of the best places that you can find sea glass. It's maybe not the warmest, so if you want a different kind of beach experience, you might want to go to Spain, Hawaii, was another place I was talking about earlier today. But they're really nice in general. There's boats by the beach, there's sand by the beach. Other things about beaches are there's some great food there. Fish and chips is a great one. I like to put gravy on my fish and chips because it's the best decision, also cheese. We also get ice cream, that tends to be really nice. And it's just a good place to spend your time. I tend to feel very happy to live by the sea. I would love to live by the sea one day, I would say. It's one of my favourite places to be.
Time! Really good. How was that?
It was okay.
Yeah?
I wasn't really sure where I was going.
Okay.
Yeah, it's alright.
Cool. So, your feedback would be, I felt like at moments, it seemed to me, maybe you weren't doing, but like you were rushing. So like, the sea and it's nice and there was like a lot happening. So I would say to try and reduce the pace. I'm someone who generally speaks quite fast, but especially when speaking and presenting, I try to reduce the pace. And again, it's all about having variety. So when I speak about whatever, it can be at this pace, but when I say something important, I try to slow down. So even if it doesn't sound important, it sounds important. Yeah, you just try to, so I want you to try and do that. Maybe, do you mind doing it again? Yeah? So you need to try and slow it down. Okay, reality feed.
So I got a little bit stressed out because I'm not actually a Love Island girly. I watched kind of a couple of episodes of a series a few years ago.
Good.
But for me, I am more of a maths girl.
Yeah.
That's Married at First Sight, if you know what it is. I was a really big fan of Married at First Sight during lockdown.
Good.
I watched all of the episodes, and then I would write my dissertation in the breaks. It was great. There was a lot of drama. I think to kind of talk about this on a wider, kind of broader scale, it's difficult with reality TV shows because I think there's some like morality involved there of like how good did you feel watching it? How moral is it for the people that are involved?
So you have 20 more seconds. Try to not say In the pauses, just mouth closed. Try. No worries. We're practicing.
So yeah, I think it's a difficult debate to have about what the moralities are of reality TV shows. They are really fun to watch, and it's really fun to enjoy them. And sometimes I think maybe it's all right, but then I also think we've obviously seen a lot of news stories about the impacts they can have on the people who are on them and what impact that has on their life. So I think would benefit from a wider conversation about how can we support people who go on them. But all that to say, I don't know, I don't want to sound too moral because ultimately I do love to watch Married at First Sight and I love to watch series.
Time. Good. How did it feel when you were slowing down?
Yeah, I think I wasn't sure. I think it felt a bit fake.
Yes.
I was like, am I just going to go and be like, so? You know, like,
Got it.
that doesn't feel very me.
Got it.
So I think it was like balancing.
Balancing.
Authenticity.
And that's what it is. That's what it's going to be. Yeah, that's what it's going to be. And I often associate public speaking to driving, whereas initially, especially when you get new information, it can be a bit overwhelming. Like, oh my gosh, I need to slow down, I need to not say I need to move my hand. Like, there's so many things I need to do. Can't even be myself. I'm thinking about what I'm doing. But just like driving initially, you're looking at the mirrors, indicating, it's like, whoa, it's so much. And then the more you do it, the more you get used to having that. And the idea here is that you're just adding all these artilleries to your backpack so that you can reduce your pace if needs be, so that you can increase your volume if needs be. You just want to have these in your backpack so you can use them. Yeah? Well done. Give a big round of applause. So it's really important sometimes to think about how you're going to say things. It's not just about what you say, but how you say it can be perceived differently. Pace, I already went through. My rule of thumb is when something is quite important, you're making a point, you're saying some stats, you slow down. Generally, after that, you can speed up. Body language, a few simple body language tips are using the influence zone, which is the area between your belly button and your shoulders. That's where your hands and arms should try and be at all times, rather than like down here or down here. Generally, anxiety wants you to be just stiff and rigid. So once you let yourself go, you have your hands in the influence zone, it allows you to be more yourself. Intention, this is about adding emphasis on certain words within a sentence. So similarly to what I said before, me just saying, you got the job, or you got the job, totally changes the intention of your sentence. Content, the advice with content is to not rely on scripts. So I'm quite anti-scripts in the way I coach. That's not to say you shouldn't write scripts. You should write your script and then summarize that big paragraph into sentences, and then summarize those sentences into bullet points. In doing that, you have the bullet points that can drive where you want to go, but you're not too reliant on it. And it works for a couple of reasons. Number one, it helps you remember your script because you're summarizing it. So for example, if you read a book and then you can summarize the book to someone, it means you've solidified that learning. Same thing with your script. And second of all, I've seen it many times that number one, scripts make you sound robotic if you rely on them. And number two, if you're reading a script and you miss out on a few words, it can totally throw you off course. Okay, so try to not rely on script. And then breath. I think you did some breath work in like a previous workshop that you did with like an acting theatre person, I believe. Maybe? Did you? No? Okay, my bad. That's the information that I got. So with breathing, what you should try and do is, to put it simply, diaphragmatic breathing, which is breathing from the stomach, helps to reduce your heart rate, helps to reduce your nerves. When we are sleeping, when you see babies, they breathe from their stomach. Their stomach moves, their chest doesn't move. When we are anxious, the opposite happens. Our stomach doesn't move, our chest moves. So by changing the way you breathe before a speech can help reduce your anxiety, tell your body, I am safe. Okay, when your body's breathing from the chest, anxiety. When it breathes from the stomach, relax. So that's basically the main thing to understand. So it's training yourself how to belly breathe in those moments. Even if you take deep breaths, but they're from the chest, you're still gonna feel anxious, basically, okay? So it's really important, bro. Okay, so time has flown by. Please, let's go back to those lovely numbers that you put at the beginning of the class. I am hoping that you don't feel worse about public speaking now. And hopefully your number was a little bit closer to 1. Honestly, put down your new number. I'd like to see it afterwards. Even if you just went from an 8 to like a 7.5, that is a win. Because you improved a little bit. And you proved to yourself that I can improve. Even if it's just a little bit. I don't expect you to go from a 10 to a 1 in an hour. Impossible. But even if you went from a 6 to a 5, huge win, honestly. Because all you have to do is just continuously do things slightly out of your comfort zone, and you just get closer and closer and closer to 1. I didn't put a 0 here on purpose because confidence, especially in public speaking, is an infinite game. What that means is that the name of the game isn't to win, it's to stay in the game. So another example of an infinite game is marriage or fitness, right? You wanna stay fit, you don't just wanna get fit. And even if you're very fit and then you don't do anything for ages and you eat McDonald's every single day, your fitness will go backwards. Same with your confidence. It is an infinite game. You can never truly be 100% confident and stay there forever. Even myself as a coach, as a speaker, when I don't do it for a while, I'll start to go backwards. So don't beat yourself up about it, okay? It just means you've got to get back on the public speaking treadmill and try and get it closer, closer, closer to 1, okay? So remember guys, learning means same condition, different behavior. So hopefully with all the information you got today, under the same condition, where you need to present, where you need to speak, yourself out of your comfort zone, you can exhibit a different behavior. So simply just telling Brian to do one and just doing it anyway, that is a different behavior. Increasing your volume, different behavior. Speaking less fast, different behavior. Getting out of your mind, trusting your intuition, different behavior, okay? I've given you loads of tools to be able to do that. Well done for completing the session. And thank you so much. This is my information if you want to connect on LinkedIn or anything, if you ever want to do some more coaching, if you ever got a presentation coming up, you want my help. If you know someone that could benefit from this, then just get in touch. It would be great to just connect anywhere on LinkedIn, see what you guys are up to. And thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.